We're super excited to have Matt with us today. I personally have some questions I wanted to ask, but just to give everybody an idea of what to expect as far as STR Nation goes in 2023, we're starting to do virtual meetups now too, or virtual webinars just like this. So we'd love to have your feedback on what you guys want us who do you guys want us to bring on? If you want to do like a networking night, we're doing these once a month, as well as our in-person meetups that we do in Southern California. But now that we've touched so many other areas outside of California, we want to make sure we open up STR Nation to the nation. Once a month, we'll be doing these. And yeah, we want your feedback on what you'd like us to see and what we could do better. Yeah, that's pretty much the announcements, or at least the housekeeping items.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. For everybody else, like, we're going to, just like Stephanie mentioned, we're going to do a lot of these. This one is going to be like a trial. As you guys know, the time difference with technical difficulties happens. So I apologize about that. But I do, without further ado, want to welcome Matt. Matt at Quick Lens. I just want to tell us a little bit about a love story here. Sorry, Sam, by the way. So I met Matt at a networking event, and we were both standing outside of the actual event. And I asked him, I said, first, I met this guy who introduced us and said, you have to meet Matt. He's literally you, but in Michigan. I was like, me, but in Michigan. And so I met him, and he's in Michigan. He's investing in California. I, at the time, was looking into Michigan. So we pretty much just started talking shop, and we became really good friends. We have really good energy. And he's also been super helpful to me as even a mentor in some ways, where he's done things that I haven't even done and haven't even touched. So he's taught me a lot about real estate investing, and I'd consider him a big bro. So that's like the vibe that I'm going here. And he was able to hop on very quick notice. So I appreciate him, and wanted to give a little bit on his back, and he'll talk about this, but Matt is in Michigan right now. He's a huge proponent of investing in the Midwest. Midwest has some of the highest returns. Specifically, Michigan has some of the highest returns when it comes to short-term rental investing. Actually, Kenny told me that specifically. It's the #1 state for the highest returns, Michigan. But why don't people invest there? We're going to go into all that today, and we're going to go into all the misconceptions, all the things you should know about, and why people should be starting to veer towards Michigan as a potential option. And Matt has grown up there. He lives and breathes this. He does lending. He's got a lending company. He's got an agency, a brokerage. He buys as an investor. He does rehabs. There's nothing that he doesn't do. He does hotels. He does short-term rentals. And he manages short-term rentals, and he's got construction guys all over the place. So without further ado, Matt, why don't you just give us the story and give us the full rundown of why the Midwest?
Thank you. That was a great intro, man. Thank you. And thank you for having me here today, guys, too. I do want to take a moment to thank you guys. So why the Midwest? It started as just a proximity thing. I'm here. I was looking around at deals. I decided to start buying some stuff, getting into the long-term investment space. And 4 years ago, this thing called Airbnb started popping up more in Michigan, and people were like, dude, you should totally try it. If there's one person who can figure it out, it's you. And I had one of my partners got into it, that he did really well on downtown Detroit property. He's like, dude, you should try this on your next vacancy. And I was super apprehensive, actually. I was very against it. I was like, why would people do this? And I said, you know what? Let me do a deep dive. Why in this particular city would people want to come and spend short-term stays here? And after a while, I started looking at, like, do they already have hotels? Do they already have motels? What is available there? And I started looking up on Airbnb. Do other Airbnbs exist there? And there was one. And I was like, okay, I don't really have a whole lot of data. There's no hotels. There's no motels. There's one Airbnb. And I just started thinking about what the demographic of the area was. I saw that there's generally an older population. And I knew a lot of people go there to visit their folks and their grandparents. I said, if they're going, they're probably going to go visit their older folks that don't have many extra rooms to stay in. I said, maybe this might be an option. So I went for it. And I am proud to report I made the ugliest, most garbage Airbnb of my life. It was terrible. The first one was absolutely the worst one. And lo and behold, it made money. I think by my second month, we were profitable. And that was what started this whole roller coaster of the dive into Airbnb. It was not really rehabbed. It was in decent shape. It was dorm level furnishings. It was garbage. In hindsight, I'm embarrassed by it. I've actually refurnished it 2 times since my initial furnishing. So my point here is, we all grow, we all change. Your first one is not going to be perfect. Doesn't mean you're going to lose, but you should definitely aim to produce like a really solid result. And of course, consult with people if you don't know what that would look like or what those costs would be so you can get there more efficiently. But beyond that, man, that first one, I said, hey, that worked. And I went on to my second, third, fourth. And now we're at about 30. I'm under contract for another 14 or 15. One of them is a 12-unit resort. We're really excited about that one. It's got a bunch of frontage on the lake. And we have been working diligently on that one for way too long, honestly. Lending has been a challenge. We had to add some new lenders to actually manage and take down this particular mortgage. It's a little bit tougher of a deal. But what's cool is because I'm always buying these properties, I'm always making sure that we as a mortgage brokerage have the lending capacity to lend on exactly what I want, what I know, the people around me, my partners, my clients, my students, whoever it is. So that's been like the big thing that launched me into this Airbnb conversation. And probably the only reason you want me on this STR Nation call right now. I can totally appreciate that. Beyond that, we did start a construction company this year. We have the lending company. I've had the property management company. My wife recently, in the last 2 years, she started managing the short-term rentals. And now she's developed the whole company and brand, and she's managing it like all on her own. She's been a huge help to our clients, to our other students, to my partners, and of course our very own portfolio. So that's kind of how that's grown. And honestly, luckily, I've had a lot of good partnerships in the past. So that's how I'm able to even stay afloat with all of this, because it's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy building these things up. For any of you guys that go, oh my God, I could never use a partner, I would never do that. I'm telling you, you're missing out. Like, partners help push you out of your comfort zone. They help go, hey, what are you doing? Wake up. You need to accomplish these goals today. I thought we set out with this goal. Let's do this. I'm telling you, partners can be great. And I've had probably 16 partnerships. Only 2 of them were not successful. And that's because they did illegal stuff. So it was pretty black and white as to what that was. But that's like the lowdown of what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And now in that same vein of getting to know Patrick and now Stephanie, I started going to a lot of conferences this last year. I felt like the groundhog that just came up one day after spring was like, oh, I guess I've been busy tunneling a lot of tunnels, because I saw a lot of people on stages talking about, yeah, that's how I got to 2 units. That's how I got to 5 units. That's how I got to 10 units. And then the people that were like over that, typically they're all arbitrage. And I realized mine are all owned. So what is the difference? What is the difference? And I started meeting with people and they were like, why aren't you teaching? Why aren't you speaking? And that's what's happened this year. I got into a ton of consult work. A lot of people approached me for partnerships. I'm maxed out right now, but I'm happy to set people up with partnerships. I know a lot of people that want exactly what we all want, right? More units, more cash flow, more optionality, more proximity to deals, and people that actually have similar training and approaches to how to get these deals functioning and making us all money. So now that's largely going to be the focus this year. I'm going to be buying properties, doing some development, doing some construction, probably between owned and managed this year. We're probably going to hit 100 units. I think we'll be able to do it before fall. So by Q3, I think we'll be there. And we've been approached by a couple other co-host companies that actually want to merge. So if we do that, we'll be across multiple states very quickly. And we'll be working with some pretty exciting people. So that's the broad spectrum of what's going on. So now, wonderful people, what do you want to learn about? What can I share with you or do to help you guys?
Yeah. And if anybody wants to chime in, feel free to chime in. If not, I'm going to be asking Matt a few questions because I have a few that I'm thinking about already. And feel free to chime in. Feel free to chime in chat. If you guys just listening, then just listen. But Matt, so curious with these rentals, you said how did you even get started with like the first one and the first few ones? Did you have a mentor? Did you just learn everything online? Like, how do you get like that first rental?
The first one, the very first one, I'm actually rehabbing it right now because it's final. The original tenant just unfortunately passed away. So we just took it over a couple months ago and we're almost done. We should be done this week actually. But that one was a combination of, back when I was a W-2 guy, I used to work as an underwriter for Quicken Loans, United Wholesale Mortgage. That was my W-2 fun job, right? I dreaded going most days, honestly. I'm sure some of you guys can appreciate that. But as I was underwriting all these files, I was looking at everybody that had self-employment, and a lot of them, probably almost all of them, had real estate owned. I'm looking at their Schedule E and I'm like, look at all these properties. Look at all this cash flow that's coming in. Dang, I want that. I want that. Like these are the guys that I read about when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad as a kid. I was like, I always heard get rentals, create passive cash flow. I was like, but I was actually seeing these are the people that are now buying $1 million houses, right? These are the people that are just casually just picking up a property. I'm like, oh my God, I saw this guy 4 times this year already run a mortgage. I'm like, he's buying 4 a year. That's amazing, right? That's where my mind was. But as I got sick of watching it, I saw some of my friends get into it. I realized if I don't step my game up soon, I'm going to be the guy left in the dust. So I said, all right, I'm gonna start looking into this. I reached out to one of my best friends and I said, hey man, what do you think? Do you want to get involved in being a partner with me on buying some real estate? And he's like, you know what? Actually, I do. So we started looking at real estate. We found this property. It was called Townley. And I said, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was so scared. I was afraid to ruin this, right? Your first one, you're always like, oh my God, you're reading Bigger Pockets, you're on all the channels, you're on Facebook, you're on Reddit, whatever you can find, just to make sure you're doing your due diligence. And the truth is, just so many other people that start in real estate, I was getting analysis paralysis. I was starting to talk myself out of this. What if it goes wrong? What if I screw this up, or there's mold there, or somebody died? Actually, shoot, somebody did. Sorry, bad joke.
Too soon.
Yeah. No, too soon. Awesome guy I want to add. Really like that guy. But all those worries came into, it's just so funny that I had that throwback thought. That's crazy. But after we got it going, found an awesome renter. He stayed with us for the rest of his life, literally. And honestly, we became friends over time. I did a good vetting process. I checked into his background references, credit background check as well, and just financials in general. And I just liked him. I felt a good energy when I talked to him. I'm big on communication and interaction. And from there, I realized after it was successful, I was like, you know what? Hey, Miles, I think we did that right. What do you say we do one more? He goes, you know what? We didn't lose, right? That's the first thing you say. We didn't lose. A lot of people on their first investment property, what do they say? I haven't been burned yet. We all enter that with the intent of wanting success, but the expectation of failure, which is just so crazy, right? So I think that's always good to pay in mind, reference back when you're talking to new people that are afraid to get in, afraid of drowning. The truth is that first one, the second one, and then the third one, every time I did one, I got probably 2 to 5 times more confident. And by the time I was at my 4th or 5th, I just said, all right, I need to just start trusting my gut. Obviously, what I've been doing, my analysis has been good. And I guess what I did, I stopped looking at Bigger Pockets, stopped reaching out for cosigns. And do you think this will work? Do you think this will work? You stop worrying about that stuff and you go, I have something that's working for me. And then you start to trust in yourself. And then the way you construct your ideas and intentions and actions completely changes. You go from trying to make people happy or ensure that everybody's watching you and making sure that like you are validating your efforts. And you start just going, I literally don't care, because what I'm doing is working for me. It's creating success for me and my family. And that's all I need to do. It's all you people that don't have maybe like more than a handful of units and you haven't quite gotten to that confidence stride that I think does come with a higher unit count. Just know if you've already felt like your confidence increase over your first couple or even at your first one, it literally can go 10x from there. I'm not joking. There's no Grant Cardone talk here going on. I promise you, the way your confidence can accelerate, even through like tough days, and your tolerance of stress management. If you just look at all that, you can just trust me as one of those people that's done it. I know people that have 1,000 units. Like, you can handle anything. And have you ever heard the phrase expanding the wallet? Or once your wallet expands to a certain point, you get so used to it being that big that it doesn't ever go back to the original form. You just keep stuffing money in there. So my point here is, between your income, between what your capacity is and stress and just growth and like even your goals, as you expand your wallet, your brain, your heart, whatever it is, like at one point, you can't really go back to that. You'll know there's something deflated and weird going on there, right? So just know that whatever you do, if you can keep adding pieces of success along the way, your wallet will become so huge that even if you did fall on your butt, I promise you can bounce right back up, just like all those multimillionaires and billionaires have done in the past. So
for sure. No, that's well put. And I want to go back to lenders. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So lending is one of the key critical elements of real estate, right? Like your lender, if you have a really good lender, you can scale your portfolio really fast. If you have a really bad lender, it could screw you, right? Like interest rates matter, like all that stuff. But the most important thing is all the people you were working with when you were doing underwriting. Okay, maybe you can tell me, why do those people never realize, even though it's right in front of them, the power of leverage, the power of using other people's money, the power of growing and owning an asset with 10% down, 3.5% down, all these different things? why don't those people buy real estate and realize I should be an investor? What's going on there, Matt?
The biggest thing I hear from people that call in for consultations and stuff like that is they're reading articles, they're reading Bigger Pockets. I think Bigger Pockets is damaging. I think a lot of people get in their own lane when they do that. And I think also just not having a circle of trust or experienced people to help kind of push you along, go, hey, be proud, be confident in what you're doing. This makes sense. This is a deal I would buy. And that's what I do with a lot of my clients. I sit when they're like, hey, I want another Airbnb. I go, hey, here's a few that I think are great. And they're like, I don't know. I was like, listen, it's a good deal. And clarify, if you don't buy these, I will buy these. And in
That's
the
what they need to
beginning, people
hear.
thought I was joking. Yeah, but now I'm like, no, I'm literally going to buy it. I'm giving you the first right of refusal right now. And
honestly, that's the best selling point. If you told me that, I'd be like, all right, sold.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? Because it sounds like a sales tactic, but like with certain people that actually have the portfolios and capacity, that's what we do. Like I didn't show, like I always look at every property that I go out to potentially buy or pitch. I always look at it as twofold. Would I buy it or would they buy it? And would I make sure that after they buy it, they're going to have a positive experience? Because the last thing I need is somebody going, you sold me a dud. You're an asshole. I don't need that. I don't like that. I like a lot of positive energy. I like people to have their wins, because what happens when you keep getting other people wins? They come back, they tell their friends, they're like, dude, I'm on my 5th property with him. Why would you do that if not for the fact that they have been successful? So that's my number one goal, man. If I go find properties for people I want to see how they can be successful and grow in, that's like a motivational factor for me. In fact, I'll expand on that a little bit. So I grew up rough. I grew up like in Detroit. I've probably been robbed 20 plus times living there. Like house broken into, car stolen. The last time we got robbed was Christmas Eve. Stole all the Christmas presents. This is right after my mom just got through her cancer treatment, single parent mom. It was just so scary, so uncomfortable. And it taught me a ton of grit, right? And my mom said, you know what? We're selling the house. I don't care if we go, we go into foreclosure on this. We moved to a suburb and we noticed an immediate change. We weren't afraid of leaving our car out like on the street. We weren't afraid of somebody breaking in. It was such a game-changing moment. And plus, like, she got me enrolled in like a higher end school at U of D, and it's a high school, but it's University of Detroit Jesuit. And I got a scholarship, luckily. And now I'm around all these people with folks that are mostly self-employed or doing really well. And I'm starting to see, oh my God, there's a different life out there. And again, that happened when I finally got my degree and started working for Quicken and started seeing those tax returns. I'm like, wow, there's people making money. So my point here is like, there's a knowledge gap that and you might not like me for this, but that's okay. I'm so disappointed with the education system. There's just such a lack of knowledge teaching finances, teaching taxes, teaching law. Can you believe we expect citizens to comply with everything? We don't even teach them the legal system. That's crazy to me. But you look at all those things and you realize that's exactly what was lacking in my community growing up. Like, I was the only white kid on the block. Most of my friends ended up dead or in jail. 2 of them I'm still in touch with, and they both did really well because our parents loved us fiercely and said, I need you to go do better with your life. That was the biggest, most impactful thing. They tried to put us in circles that might positively impact us. So I think that was a big factor. And I'll never forget, like, one of my buddies that ended up in jail, like, as a kid, I saw him years later and he was like, dude, how'd you do that? And I was like, I really thought we were the same. I thought we came from like generally the same stock because I didn't know better. I just thought we're kids, we had the same school. Why couldn't we achieve the same result? And honestly, it was a combination of love and push from my folks. His folks weren't really there for him. His folks didn't support him. And I don't think he had anybody to show him another way of life, right? So that's one of the big philanthropic things I want to do, hopefully in the next 2 years, is I want to go back and teach the inner city schools, like, what you can do in self-employment, what you can do in real estate. Because I honestly think imagine if everybody on this call, everybody that ends up watching this would have been taught this at a younger age, and how absolutely normal it can be to be self-employed, how normal it can be to develop a real estate portfolio. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to normalize real estate investing for everybody in my circle. That's what I want to do. And I think, like, when you teach it because you care, you want a genuine win for everybody, I think that's the best thing you can do, man. You just create that circle and just triple down.
Awesome, man. Go on, Stephanie.
I have to say, Matt, I love that you have such an abundance mindset and you're hearing your journey. It's incredible. And I have to ask this question to you. Out of all the different skills that you had to learn in order to get where you are now, what do you think is the most valuable skill set?
That's a really good question. Wow. I want to say this. I want to say for people that think you just had to know or be like around something, it's not that. It's not that. I would say it probably is your openness to growth because I meet a lot of people from different walks of life, different intelligence levels, different financial situations. And I've seen every variation under the sun win, every single thing. Like, I think you guys have been around a ton of people, especially at your Vegas conference, which was great. For a first time, again, well done. But you see these different people, you meet these different people, and I've met too many people that are smart and have capacity. They have money, they have great jobs, they have good stress management skills. And you know what they do? They go, I wanted to get into real estate. And they never do. And they go, I know this would help my tax returns and my income. And what do? Nothing. They don't do anything. And it's the most painful thing. So I think it's a combination of being open and actually like creating that traction and self-accountability. I think it's probably those three things, but being open and actually approaching it is so critical. So I think some combination of that is probably absolutely the key thing.
That makes a lot of sense. I do see a lot of successful people, and you're definitely one of them. The one comment or a couple of the common traits that I always notice is they're not judgmental. It's never right. It's never wrong. It just is what it is. But on top of that, they hold themselves accountable. They have extreme ownership over their situation. They definitely don't have the victim mindset, and they always see failure, feedback, whatever it is, as growth to get them to be better, which is, I think, what most people want. But not a lot of people are willing to hear or experience those uncomfortable things to get to where they really should be going. So I really think that's awesome that you've pretty much, I can see the journey, and I think a lot of us can probably see that where we are on your path too, to get to the part where it's like, it's not that it gets easier, you just get better at it. I see that you embody that. So that's super, super cool. Very valuable.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I know a lot about this stuff because I've already talked to you. Yeah, really cool. This is one thing I want to talk on a topic of investing in Michigan. And through that, let's just go through a scenario, right? Matt, I'm your client. I come to you and I say, I want to invest in Michigan. Where do I look? What's popping? How does it usually pan out? I know there's a harsh winter. Can you really make money because there's a harsh winter? Like, why would I invest in the Midwest when it's like snowing and all this other stuff's going on? Can you explain the appeal? Explain why me as an investor, as your client, would want to work with you on the investing side?
I'll tell you why you don't want to work with me. If you don't want me to look at you like you're crazy when I give you a great deal. And you're like, seriously, he's going to buy this for me? I was like, buy this from underneath. I'm like, I'm not going to buy it from underneath you. I'm recommending you buy it so I don't have to buy it. Because I truly believe in the assets I'm going to produce and offer to my clients. I really do. So your question is really good. In fact, even coming into this, I had some people ask me, hey, I want you to hit on seasonality. What's that like? And the biggest thing about any market, every market has a seasonality. We got the proper, you're in Joshua Tree, I'm in Desert Hot Springs, right? With my 8-unit hotel. And in that, guess what? People go, oh man, like it's California, it's great. I'm like, it's the freaking desert. I don't know if you've been there in July, but July is so hot, nobody wants to go, right? So we've been working on some cool mechanics and like marketing things to actually encourage people to actually come in the worst months. But that's exactly what we do in Michigan too, right? So you look at the year-end average of everything. If you only are focused on, oh, but what about the slow months? Everybody's got a slow month. Everybody. There's always something. And if you don't have a slow month, it's always stagnant, right? It's like or static even. Like you might have just year-round, every month is pretty much here. But in Michigan, you might have a little bit slower of a winter, but a great summer. And in California deserts, where your summer is like here, but every year-round you're about here, right? So it's like you need to understand that there's a law of averages in pretty much everything. And I think Michigan is no exception. And there's ways where Michigan actually does pretty well in the winter. In fact, November, December is fantastic. Slowest months are typically January, February. But again, like sometimes your March, April, May, June, July, August can be really good. Marches can be hit or miss. But I think the biggest thing is making sure you have the right amenities available and that you're picking your locations right. Like in Southeast Michigan, like the Metro Detroit area, that's where the bulk of my investments are. It's been great because I kind of look at Airbnbs. I don't really call them Airbnbs typically. I do that because people understand the term, but there's two types of like short-term rentals, right? There's the short-term inner city and there's the vacation focused one, right? And all my lakefronts I consider vacation rentals and my inner city stuff is my short terms. Short terms especially when you're in the inner city, they can stay booked up year round. So if you're looking for a lower volatility type of asset, I really do think you should focus on like more dense cities that are generally pro or already have regulated the STR ordinances. I think that's actually a good thing. You actually want to be amongst the regulated cities, because I've seen people go into the cities where they haven't approached it, and literally what's next on the docket. This is also like a pro tip. Actually, I'm gonna give you a few pro tips. When you're checking out a new city, call 2 to 3 times. Talk to as many different people as you can, because you will get different answers when you ask them about the regulations. Even if you go online and you check their city ordinances that are written, sometimes they're going to actually say, hey, these are acceptable things, or they're going to show nothing. So that's why you want to talk to them. You want to ask them a couple of questions. What are your ordinances? Do you have anything against STRs, anything against Airbnb, whatever, however you want to say it? And then the follow-up questions to those 2 or 3 people you call at different times will be, is there anything coming down the pipeline? Anything coming up in the meetings? Has it been, do you have grievances? Are there any nuisances? Are any people saying, hey, we want to get rid of this? Or are you generally pro STR? Like the property I bought in Cadillac, we got a cease and desist the other day. And that was a really painful, shocking thing, because what do? We did our due diligence up ahead of time before we bought it. And it's an expensive property, but we were really surprised to get it, because we're like, the map shows our property is in the okay zone. So we call him and I go, hey man, I'm so confused. Why did we get this? And he goes, your property is zoned O2, office 2. And I go, yeah, but it's also business 2, and business 2 is acceptable. He goes, oh, that's right, your property has 2 parcels. And I go, yeah, so which one are we going to land on here? And he goes, you can't do it if it's O2. I'm like, most of the property that's O2, I'm okay with that, because that's the yard. So I'll be in the house, I'll be legal. Is that cool with you? And he goes, oh, I don't know if we can do that. I'm like, all right, well, tell me, what's the difference between O2 and B2 for you? He reads the definitions. I'm listening. I'm writing it down. He goes, single family residential, recreational use, office use, video, wedding use. And I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty pro what we're trying to do. What's B2? He goes, son of a gun, that's the exact same list. So what's your question? You go, why not? Why is it, if it's the same thing, but it's just a different letter, why is it different? So he ended up actually saying, what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be opening up your zone anyway by summer. So if you want, you can file for a zoning appeal, and we can have that reviewed in the next 40, 50 days. So that's what we're doing. My point here is, even when you do your due diligence and you called in and you have things in writing, they could switch it up on you. Oh, also pro tip, screenshot the date and the website when you pull out for your info. Why? Because if it ever changes, you want to be able to say, no, you had it here. And that also goes for when you're vetting properties that you might want to buy and you're looking at Airbnb comparable data. Why? Because sometimes if that property is sold or no longer exists or goes into hibernation status, that comp is no longer there, right? So you want to always screenshot that stuff. So these random little things you learn over the course of massive acquisition, and hopefully that all helps. And even going back to more Michigan seasonality and locality, I can do this because this is my state, right? This is Southeast Michigan. This is where Detroit is. Cadillac's about here. Traverse City's about here. We got some properties here and here. There's another set of lakes here. That's like Gun Lake area near Grand Rapids. We got some B&Bs over there. And honestly,
Matt, by the way, sorry to cut you off real quick.
Sure.
So somebody asked, can you clarify what you offer? They heard that you said like clients, but they missed it. So they're just curious.
Clarify what you offer on which part? I'm sorry.
Like, why do you have clients? I'm assuming it's the agent side.
Oh, what I offer? Oh, people that are looking for Airbnbs, especially in the southeast part of the state, what we can do, we have a turnkey operation. We can find the property, we can do the inspection, appraisal, of course. We can do the rehab for you in certain occasions. We can furnish for you and manage everything, like literally set up all the cleaners, all the maintenance. So it's literally a turnkey thing. We point, shoot, and you guys just sign the contract to buy it, and then we just take it over from there. We also go over the financials of what we expect it to make versus other comparable Airbnbs. And typically most of the ones that are comparable are the ones we already own because they're in the same cities. We've expanded, definitely expanded. And we know pretty much exactly what metric and rubric we need to attack to make that a viable asset for ourselves or our clients. So hopefully
You know what? I really like Michigan. For the people that don't know, I actually checked out a few markets that were on STR Insights with Kenny. And I came back home. I'm originally from Chicago, and I made a trip up there on the west side, Michigan, like on the lake. And I checked out some really cool areas. I really want to buy out there. Matt, I might take you up on that. If anybody else wants to, let's just all combine our money and just buy a few Airbnbs out there, and just that'd be fun, especially if you're from a state that's like California. We make so much money here. It's take that money and invest in the Midwest. Like, why not? The cash flow's there. Matt's got a sweet operation where you can do the lending, the agency, and then Sam can take over on the management side. And he's got all the contractors and everything. So it's like, cool. Yeah. If there's anybody that looks at deals out there, this could be a cool opportunity. So Matt, which areas of Michigan do you really like? Which ones are you eyeing right now that you think there's a lot of potential?
So I actually think Southeast Michigan is still underdeveloped in the STR space. So I'm still buying here. I'm still recommending here. I do think my client, shout out to Ryan and Hasina. I'm sure you guys will probably catch this, but they just bought a really cool property in Mears, and you know where Mears is. It's right near.
I love Mears. Wait, was it the same deal I walked?
Yeah, actually, we talked about that one.
Yeah. So they snagged that deal. I went there the moment it hit the market. It was a couple days. I went to see a deal. I flew all the way from California. I told Matt about the deal. I was like, oh, look how great this deal is. It's literally walking steps to the beach. It was amazing. And it was like right next to the sand dunes. And it was like this beautiful little house for what was it, like 450 or something listed.
I think we got it down to 407 for him.
You got it down to 407. You dog.
I'm not afraid to negotiate.
And so I was just looking at it, and Matt comes swinging in. Month later, first he told me, "Oh, like those are okay."
Don't make it sound like I snuck something out.
And then he swung in and snapped it up for another client. Come on, Matt. I thought you were a friend.
You wanted to buy it, we could have done it, but you weren't.
We could have done it. I just didn't personally. I just didn't like the numbers. That deal particularly. What about that deal? Like at 407. Let's talk about that deal. It was walking steps to the beach, Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
It was. You have your private beach that a couple people share in the community.
Get this. You're gonna love this. So I think it was a 3-1 with 2 living areas. So what we're gonna do, I found a way to convert it to potentially a 5-2.
Was it that office space? That little office area? That's so cool.
And I'm gonna blow out that one wall. They already have a half bath there. It's a 1.5 bath. Blow out. It's obviously toilet and vanity. There's enough room along the stairs to come out another 3 feet. So I don't need the full 3 feet. I'm going to pull it out 3 feet, and we're going to add the tub shower combo. So then they're going to be back up to a 2 full bath. I don't know what we're going to do outside yet because it's sandy. It's hard to build and do stuff, but I want to make sure it's a good vibe. It's Instagrammable, things like that. And I can tell you this, man. Oh my God. When right before I left, I went down to the beach area, and you are actually on the beach of the dunes. Like that's the beach that you have. That's how close the dunes are to this house. And it looked like another world. It looked like Mars or something, but just less red. And I was like, this is literally
so cool.
You make this the hero shot for your top 5 photos for when you put on Airbnb. It's gonna be mental. It's gonna be beautiful.
That's the beauty thing about Michigan that I really like. I'm just going to point out my thoughts on Michigan. The reason I really like Michigan and in general the Midwest is because you go out there and the competition is so different. Joshua Tree. Everyone and their mothers wants to go to Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree is so competitive. You guys don't understand. I'm doing so much to even perform. Yes, there's a lot of money there, but at the same time, there's also a lot of really savvy investors. The whole thing when people say, hey, just optimize your listing and do all these little small tweaks, and you can bring a client on board and just do that, and it's going to function. Yeah. Stephanie, you have a listing, Joshua Tree. How different is it than your other listings?
I have to treat it much differently than my other out-of-state listings, but every market is different. So regardless of the area, you have to acclimate to what's going on there. So kudos to you though, Pat. I don't know how you're doing in Joshua Tree. We've been doing okay, but I do see that I can only imagine, at least in a less competitive area or just a less, because like for me, similar to you, I talked to Kenny too, and I guess Michigan is where it's at. I've never been there. I've never been to that part of the world, not the world, but the U.S.
Stephanie, if you ever want to come
STR
by,
Nation in Michigan, let's go.
no,
I know, I
seriously,
actually wanna go
honestly,
now.
at this point, we should just make a trip out there, see Matt, see what the heck he's doing out there, see if he's actually lying about his 42 whatever units to put on
man.
the show. He just stands in
Yes,
front of a
let's do
building
an
that's
STR
not his
Nation
own.
field trip, guys. You
Yeah,
guys
we'll
all
do-
can come too.
Yeah, everyone can come. Matt will give us a little tour of Detroit. Actually, didn't you give a tour of Detroit to Steven says I want to go?
Yes,
Didn't
who
you-
knows? Maybe we'll do something.
Yeah, like why not?
Field
So
trip.
didn't you do a tour for Meet Kevin, the YouTuber?
And Graham Stephan.
And Graham Stephan? Yeah, you were that ginger guy in that
Ooh.
video a
I was the
long
ginger
time
guy in
ago.
that
That's
video.
so
Yeah.
funny. I
They
saw
called-
that video. I didn't even know it was him.
They wanted a tour of Detroit, and they called one of my agents, Ethan Harms. What's up, buddy? And he was like, "Hey, do you want to go give these blogger guys a tour of Detroit?" And I go, "Are they seriously interested in buying? They're actually kind of big." And I'm like, "I don't care. Are they going to buy?" And so they said, "Okay, you know what?" He said he talked to him, Ethan did, and he said, "Actually, they might actually buy if it makes sense." We met up for coffee, took them out for a day and a half. And they experienced a lot of variation in Detroit, the good, the bad, the ugly, but they were actually really cool. They're really nice guys, way caring. They're willing to go into houses I would not recommend, like vacant houses that are in rough spots.
Yeah,
But
you literally said you got robbed 20 times, and you're just like, okay, guys, you
think
guys are
it's a
from
bad area.
California.
I have a high tolerance for bad areas.
Yeah.
Those bad areas. I was like, dude, you should not be out here, buddy.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's a lot of beauty. I think that's the awesome thing about investing in an area a lot of people don't know about and a lot of scared. There are success. Like I think I saw another comment here. Yes, I want to go. I need some successful STRs to avoid mistakes in the future. Exactly. And like Matt has done it 30, 42 times over. Hey, Matt, did you ever buy those $1,000 houses in Detroit for Airbnb?
Kind answer is God, no. Like, so Detroit still has plenty of promise. You can still buy solid Airbnbs in Detroit, but I would say most of the Airbnbs I would be recommending are probably closer to 200 to 600,000. But like some of them are going to make 250,000 gross. If you do it right, if you're buying the right centrally located properties, you're going to spend more, but you're going to make more. So I think that's a cool thing. Like most people can tell me most price points, and I can tell them how they're going to make money, what they're going to make on their monthly net pretty quickly. And that's the other thing. That's the big difference with me. That's one of the things I'm starting to teach right now is the BRRRR method, right? Everybody knows about the BRRRR method. I teach it on a whole different level. In fact, one of the things they always skirt over is they go, yeah, man, you buy, you rehab, you rent, refi, repeat. That's not it. That's not it. The buy side is like choosing right. How do you choose right? How do you get the lending so it makes it easier? How do you lower your cash on cash expenditure on the acquisition, right? How do you negotiate at inspection and potentially at appraisal? And then when it comes to the rehab, how are you finding the right contractors to do the right kind of work so you're not getting burned at the end? We just tried a new set of contractors and one of them burned us. I expected it because I always expect it on a new one, but hopefully you end up going, oh, that worked out pretty well. You and I could go for days talking about the challenges of contractors in the desert. Oh my God.
Contractors is a whole nother conversation.
Let me finish with this. But when it comes to the refi, the biggest, most underutilized part of the conversation on BRRRR is the refi. People go, oh, you just refi. It's not just refi. A lot of people think you can only BRRRR. BRRRing is only when you get 100% of your money out. That's not true. Listen, if you have an asset that's producing $1,500 a month and you left 10 grand in the deal, you're trying to tell me you wouldn't take that deal even after the refi? No, like of course you're going to take that deal. It's a great cash on cash play, right? You recouped a bunch of your money. You only have 10 grand in the deal on probably, I don't know, a $200,000 plus asset. And if you're making $1,500 net per month on average, that's great ROI. It's great cash on cash. But the difference is you want to be able to calculate what happens to your mortgage payment right after you exercise the refi, right? What does that do? You know, if maybe your gross income, your net income, your NOI was getting you $2,500 a month, and now that you've done the refi, now it goes down to 15. So you want to understand what was that decrease worth versus the cash received, because some people talk about, oh, I got 80% cash on cash, but now they're making $100 a month because that's all their net NOI like allows for. So you need to be inquisitive and understanding of what that whole method actually entails. So anyway,
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, dude. That's great. It's the BRRRR STR model I can talk about days for that as well. But I wanted to ask, let's talk bigger deals. A lot of times I've been seeing, even all over Instagram, all the influencers, all the people that are in the space, they're talking hotels, they're buying hotels. I just saw Rafa put up a hotel under contract in Northern Michigan. Turns out the other partner on that deal. And it's interesting because people are buying hotels now in Michigan. Why are people buying hotels in Michigan? Like what are people thinking of? I'm just thinking out loud, like from anybody that would be watching.
What's cool about Michigan is many of the hotels, let me put it in human terms, okay? When I go, hey, I want to have a really nice night out with my wife or go away with my family and have a really nice place to stay, we don't have a lot of great hotels. They're run of the mill. It's the Holiday Inn. It's the Marriott. It's good hotels, good quality, good choices overall. There's nothing that really calls.
Yeah. Where are you going to stay with Sam? You want to stay in a really nice place.
Yeah. So I think there's a monster market in Michigan in particular, because Arizona's got beautiful hotels. You want something that's just going to knock your socks off. Boom. You can go to there, you can go to California. You can go. There's things that are just, they'll call you, oh my God, if we're going to have an anniversary thing, or if I want to really impress my kids, I'll take them to Florida or whatever. I don't know, Disney World, right? But in Michigan, there's not much. And even more, there's so many smaller hotels and motels in good areas or areas that are worth vacationing to that are run by mom and pop. And what did they do? They ran it like crap. There, I said it. Unpopular opinion. Mom and pop ran it like crap. And now people like us have emerged where we've gotten sharper. We understand how to use marketing and tech tools to really exploit the higher income. Best example is the hotel we have in Desert Hot Springs. By just changing some of the marketing up and adding a dynamic pricing tool, we were up 40 to 55% month after month just in net profit, because he had fixed pricing the whole time he owned it. So just by us coming in, marketing it better, and adding dynamic pricing tools, it was that much better. And of course, our communication was way better too. But
what's crazy is also like these hotels are so like affordable. Like you can't even buy for $500,000. You can't even buy a condo here in LA. And you go to Michigan, some of these areas, depending on the area, obviously certain areas are really expensive.
12 unit I'm buying is just under 1.2 million. So it's basically under 100,000 per unit, and it's all lakefront. So we're figuring
that's insane.
We're going to add some jacuzzis. We're going to really hype it up to be like the winter retreat. And we want to have a sweet bonfire situation set up. We want to be able to like maybe even there's this thing we saw about how to like create igloo style like huts there. So like when the snow is really accumulating, we're gonna go up there, build the igloo up. So it'll be like more of an attraction. Plus ice fishing is massive. Michigan people want to fish. I'm like the weirdo because apparently I don't like to fish like other people. I'm too busy to sit there and wait. But Michigan people love to fish. So if ice fishing, regular fishing, and honestly, the thing that gets me and my wife more excited than anything is when it's lake time in Michigan. We have the most beautiful, fresh, clean water lakes, and we have more lakes than any other state. It's absurd what we have here. Plus our cost of living. There's so many benefits to Michigan. You go on, but it's funny. That's like an office skit, actually. Anyway, sorry, I digress. My point is, when you ask about why do people want to buy here, why do people want hotels here? The fact is, there's so much add value opportunity, and there's excellent cash flow. When you apply modern technology and marketing to pre-existing poorly run properties, you can buy them at a discount, add value, go do the Burr method on the hotel, and you can crush it. And that's what we're doing. That's what we want to keep doing. We love it. We really feel like we've exploited and monopolized like our processes. And we hired 4 more people in the last 30 days, and we're already looking to hire another 2 next week. So that's what we have to do to grow and scale, because we're going to have over 100 units by the end of this year. Yeah.
Oh, Stephanie has a question. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a couple piggyback questions. Not being from the area at all, is the infrastructure in Michigan? I know for you probably have in-house for everything, but let's just say for an out-of-state investor that just is stubborn, wants to do it on their own, or at least wants to know that at the end of the day that they'll be able to somehow self-manage it from a distance. How is it to find vendors, cleaners, handymen that understand short-term rentals? Some of the more mature markets, infrastructure is easy and it supports it, and it's not like a huge headache like it could be in other metro areas that you have to teach your vendors what you need. How is it in Michigan, or that you've seen?
So in the areas we're set up, it's pretty strong, it's pretty easy. We're happy to share those people with our clients, especially and our students. But generally speaking, I have a couple of I wouldn't say they're secrets, but I have tips and tricks that I employ with when I'm doing my consult work or my mentorship. So there's a lot of ways to go. Obviously, you can always look up Google. You can go and join some Facebook groups and threads and just say, hey, looking for this, looking for that. But there's a few other ways to vet those contractors that comes from real world experience with us. And even another like little tip and trick is go to the local hardware store and be there at 6:30 in the morning. See who shows up. Those are the dead serious people. They might not be cheap, but they're dead serious. And honestly, we tried one guy that seemed a little good to be true, a little too good to be true on our Cadillac deal. And it started off actually pretty well. I will say that. But like at the 85% completion point, that's when he fell off. But we tried probably 4 contractors, 3 out of 4 worked out. And I think that you got to expect that 25% won't. And even with our cleaners, poor Sam, she handles most of the cleaners. She handles all the cleaners. I'm sorry, don't hit me later, babe. But we have to try 2 to 3 cleaners pretty much every time you do it. Even when you hire like a VA, a cleaner, maintenance guy, I always think you need to go and connect and hire with probably 4 to 5 people before you know who your true go-to is. And also, to your point about infrastructure, there's an element of density of population, right? So the more you're in like those rural areas, there's a different mindset. Some of those people, if you have a same day turnover, like I remember how one of them on our Gun Lake property, the cleaner was like, they just left. You want me to go over there tonight? I'm like, yeah, we have a check-in tomorrow. I didn't sign up for this. I was like, you want to stay on as our cleaner? And it made me realize, how did I not have this conversation with this cleaner? I was like, I'm pretty sure we did, but whatever it is, you'll find people like that. You find challenges. There are always going to be challenges. But the key is, again, what's your stress tolerance? What's your adaptability? Rather than going, oh my God, it's a nightmare, you go, today's challenge has arisen. How will I this occasion, right? You just got to slap yourself, know that this is just a moment. My uncle always says, boom, it's over. Your moment's over. Whatever was bad, it's over. It's not going to get any worse than this moment, right? And it's not going to get any better than that moment. So you go, you assess what's going on, you go, I got to get back to work. And the cool thing is when you really start to change your mindset and the mapping of like how you approach issues, you stop calling them issues. Just, I got to handle this today. You don't even talk about it being a problem.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. You start to get to the point where it's like, just another day. Just another day.
Just solving problems. And I definitely talk about this. You become so good at problem solving. You have calluses, right? Like just when you work out a lot, you have calluses. It's your stronger shell. It's harder to break you. Yeah. When people complain about small things like their cat or something, and you're just like, look, I've dealt with 30 cats in my listings and they sprayed my listing and I had a cat attack or whatever the crazy adventure is for the day. I think I like to approach it positively and just say, hey, this is just another adventure today. And it's funny.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Wow. Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, we want to open it up to the floor too. If you want to converse with Matt or ask specific questions, feel free to unmute yourself.
How about this? I'm going to ask a question because first to everybody listening, okay? Because some people have been engaging, some people not, but I want to ask, anybody want to invest in Michigan or other areas of the Midwest? That's why you're on this call.
Absolutely. That's why I'm on the call. Let's make it happen.
Awesome.
I'm excited about Michigan trip.
What's up,
Awesome.
Steven? How are you, man?
Steven, thank you for chiming in, man. I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot, but for a good reason. So tell me, what's the kind of situation and what are you trying to do? Let's all learn from it.
Going through what I think you guys have gone through a little bit before me, right? W-2, me and the wife have good jobs. Finally dipped into 2 Airbnbs all in 1 year, which is crazy to believe it. But overnight, it literally happened, Palm Springs and then Joshua Tree. So I'm feeling the pain from some of the Joshua Tree folks on this call. But I agree, you got to be super unique. And I think I have that, but always continues looking to improve and get better. But I'm itching for that 3rd and 4th one, right? The dust hasn't settled yet on number 2, but I'm already thinking about where else. But I guess what I've learned is the same thing, right? Got to go somewhere where nobody's talking about. I think I was on hearing the No Vacancy podcast. I think you were also on, Patrick. I forget the gentleman that came on after you.
Yeah.
I think his name was something Kuhn, but he talks about Asheville and the eastern North Carolina area. And I'm looking for those type of pockets. And now we got this call going on about Michigan. And I've been to Chicago hundreds of times, but I've never been to Michigan because of all the scary things I've heard about. Why go there? But just so looking to absorb as much energy from you guys and knowledge. But you guys are ready to book that tour, man. I'll be in the first row.
Honestly, Steven, you should talk to Matt about potentially just Matt, I'm sure would be open to it at some point to potentially even show you some properties in the area on his team, potentially even as well. So this can be even something that you can take a look at. Yeah, that's why I wanted to plug everybody in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to connect after this call.
Yeah.
Cool.
And kudos to you, Steven, for even saying something, because I think and also great job on getting your first two. I'm sure you've experienced that moment where you go, oh man, the first one, I hope we don't screw this up. Second one, oh, you know what, it's going okay. But you are in like a super saturated, super attractive environment. And it's not that nobody's talking about Michigan. Hell, there's probably more talk about Michigan than ever. But who's executing in Michigan, right? If you are the guys, if our group ends up going, hey, you know what, we're gonna double down at this point. We're gonna get serious about Michigan. I think you guys will have a hell of a time. You're gonna enjoy a lot of the wins that we've been enjoying. And you know what? It's so funny. You brought up another thing. People, oh, scary Michigan, right? I think that's probably because of Detroit. It's probably thank you, Eminem. God, 8 Mile, that movie, man. I swear. There's so many ways you guys can come here and have a great time. And I'm telling you, a lot of beautiful, safe cities. And I think when you see what's going on,
honestly, I living in Chicago, the lake, and that's why I argue, and anybody can fight me for this point. I believe Chicago is the best city in a summer standpoint. From summer, it's the best city because of Lake Michigan and all these other things. Michigan, awesome as well because of the close proximity to the lake. And the thing is, a lot of people will say, Kenny, the guy who literally makes a tool that tells you the best places to invest, told me Michigan's the best place to invest. I told him, all right, well, why don't you invest there? And he said, it's not a preference for me. So he's got a preference. But here's the thing. If you educate yourself, you learn how everything's out there, you find a feasible plan, it's definitely doable. And I'm not just saying this to hard sell Matt or anything. That I don't care. I'm honestly saying, for speaking for myself, I just think the Midwest is just one of those things. I know we've talked a lot about Michigan, but I know the Midwest in general is just such a land of opportunity. Why do people want to invest in there? Because people think it's boring. That's why. People just snow and I don't know, people dying in all these Detroit homes. People are not educated.
Patrick, why do you have to say it like that?
It's crazy stuff that you hear, right? And it's Steven, if you took action instead of just, are you in California, Steven, by the way?
I am. I'm in Orange County.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm in LA. So if we in California decide, you know what, screw this, let's just visit and let's see how this place looks like. Maybe wait a couple months because it's winter right now and see the true beauty of summer. April's beautiful, shoulder month, and actually educate yourself and you'll be blown away. And let me tell you, I did the exact same thing with Northwest Arkansas. Who wants to invest in Arkansas? People look at me like I'm freaking crazy. But in Arkansas, I went there and I experienced it. And I literally thought I knew it was Arkansas had the KKK headquarters. I knew that they had there was Country Hick, and that's all I knew. And I knew it was warm. It's in the Sun Belt. But when I went there, it was so different from what I expected. And it's one of those things, you just got to experience it to know it. That's all I'm going to leave with. Sorry, I went on a rant, but that's all I wanted to say.
And
you've offended all of Michigan.
I know. Yeah, we would just, he worked so hard to turn it around. Smacks it back down. Matt, I do have another question before I completely forget, but I know you lend. Where do you lend? Is it just mainly Michigan, or are you also in other states as well?
Such a good question. So we have focused on the non-QM market, which is a lot of the DSCR stuff. And it's funny, I won't name names, but there are some STR focused lenders out there. They say they can do X, Y, and Z, and you know what they can't? X, Y, sometimes not even Z. And it's super freaking frustrating. Patrick and I have gone in circles on how challenging that is. But yeah, we have a lot of 10% fix and flip down options, but remember, it's not just the acquisition, it's what can you refi into, right? Who can actually perform on a refi with STR income without gouging your eyes out or taking your firstborn? So that's all, I'd say all but this one commercial product I have to do with a local credit union because it's the only thing that will lend on that 12 unit because they know the area and they're like, we know it's a good deal. So cool, I'm using the credit union for that one. But everything else, I go always through my own guy. And it's like, you go, is the food good? I'm like, I eat here every night. I love it. This is like mom's good home cooking. So I would not recommend something I wouldn't use. I wouldn't Recommend a purchase, I wouldn't buy. That's who I am. You're getting genuine, authentic. I wouldn't do it. And literally, I would have told my clients no. When I think it's a bad deal, I'm somebody who will actually tell you no, because I don't want to see people get burned. I certainly don't want to be associated with something that went poorly. Now, if you want to bet on something that I think is too risky and it works, awesome. Kudos, power to you. But if you're like, Matt, I need a sure thing. I'm like, oh, here's my sure thing list of things I think you should buy. Hey, Matt, I want a little bit more risk. All right, I think this is good. You got to run it right. And if you want like super risky, or you just want to go do your own thing and be a maverick, that's cool too. But between lending, picking the home, and even furnishing, I'll tell you what works, what doesn't work. And also like little amenities that are making searchability in Michigan that much more valuable. I think I might hit on a couple, but jacuzzi, car chargers are, Michigan has been slow to catch on the electric car charger scene. So adding that's gonna be like the next couple things I add in my couple of rehabs coming on right now. Yep.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's a
One
good
more
tip.
Michigan, one more Michigan thing, guys. I got a call from a prospective, like, I don't know if she's gonna become a client or a student yet, but they're a well-off couple out of New York. And they go, hey, we just heard about you. One of our lenders, Kent, he said he's worked with you. I set him up with 7 Airbnbs now. And he goes, hey, he said, you're the man. I want to use you. And we're looking at this one house in, Pennsylvania? No, New Hampshire. And she's like, do you mind giving it a once over for us? Let us know if we're on the right path. And I go, let me ask you this. Before I answer your question, can you take it as objective and not me steering you one way or the other? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, why would you ask that? I was like, because I want you to know I'm going to give you an objective answer here. Because some people think I'm just going to steer you over to me, and I want you to know that there's some pros and cons. So she shows it to me. And I was shocked because it had a ripped apart bathroom. The kitchen was the size of a closet, and it was $250,000 and not on a lake. I was like, are you guys construction experts? Do you know something about the area that I don't know? Because from what I'm seeing, like right off rip, I don't see why this is a good investment for you. And they're like, they couldn't come up with an answer. I was like, that's so weird. But you know what I get? Because I am on STR Insights as one of the brokers of record to be sent to. So many people get shiny object syndrome. They want an Airbnb, but they don't know what the hell they're doing with it. And I've literally told those same clients, I don't think you should be doing this yet. You might want to do some consult, or you might want to do some mentorship before you go that route. And that's all the stuff that we started to offer. But if you are going to choose to work with our team with me, I'm going to make sure you land on a winner, because that's what I need you to see. I need you to see it's not scary Detroit. You're not going to get shot at. I'm not going to put you in that area, and it's not that boring, Patrick. It's actually pretty fun.
You actually
I'm
lend.
gonna get shit for that for a long time. I feel
for
like
literally the rest of our
I
relationship.
can see that too. Matt, because I really like that you have that DSCR product and you actually look at STR income versus long-term, where a lot of other lenders do it. Does that extend to like California, just the Midwest, or are you also like on the East Coast? Where do you lend?
We can lend in 50 states for all of our
Nice.
commercial and non-QM financing, which is the stuff that 90% of Airbnb people want. Now, for conventional financing, we can land in about 7 states, but not California at this time. No. So if you're looking to do like here's another tip for financing. Okay. However you buy a property, especially when you're buying higher value properties, maybe 500 plus, million plus, if you're not going to build a monster portfolio, you're just going to have 5 to 10. Remember, there's a maximum of 10 financed properties per person, right? When you're doing conventional lending. So keep that in mind. Like if you're going to hold real estate debt, hold it in a low interest conventional loan, because typically the non-QM debt service is a higher interest holding cost, but that doesn't mean it's any worse. But here's the con. Here's the con of having all of that. Right now, I'm about to purchase a new primary for myself. A beautiful, big house. I'm so excited about it. Can't even tell you. But I'm about to buy that, and they were like, hey, you have a few properties that are Airbnb, and we have to add them back against your debt. And then I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was a possibility, because what am I doing? I'm getting conventional lending for my primary. So there's a term called bankability. You want to be bankable, right? When you're trying to buy your next primary. When it comes to investment, I'll buy anything all day long. But for the first time, one property, they're not letting me, 2 properties that are on my traditional financing, my conventional financing. They're not letting me use my Airbnb income to offset it, because I bought them this last year, and they won't let you use it, the income, unless it's already been completed on the tax return. So I need to wait another 2 months probably before that tax return is complete to be viable. Well, that's the timing issue, right? So if you're getting ready to buy a primary, you always want to keep in mind your bankability when you start getting into the investment world, especially when you're not using commercial non-QM lending. And
That's
if I
awesome.
lost you, that's good because it's a tough subject. But if you want to learn more, you can hit me up and maybe you
Yeah.
can join.
And anybody have any other questions for Matt in terms of anything that we talked about today or anything in the world? Honestly, he will
Can you stump
answer.
me? Please
He will
stump me.
answer literally what he sleeps in, like the exact clothes he sleeps in. He's an open book. Maybe not that far, but yeah.
Yeah, you've dropped some major gold.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Maybe people are just shocked and their mouths are hitting the floor and they're just
It's
can't
Zoom,
speak.
man. Zoom is a weird platform.
It's a weird thing. In person, I feel like it'd be easier to ask these questions too. I'm gonna just call two people, Sean and Co. Brings you guys on the call. Maybe they went to the bathroom.
How's it going? Hi, Patrick. I'm here.
Oh, hi, Sean.
How you doing? Hi.
Yeah.
So we have one short-term rental in Yucca Valley, doing really well. Want to get more. We're just limited on how much capital we have for the next one. And we have a HELOC on our property, on our primary too. So that's kind of holding us back also because it's pretty expensive and it's variable. So yeah, we're just kind of stuck a little bit. Like we need to find a partner, period. We need to network more. We're going to meet up on Monday.
Awesome.
So we'll be there Monday. We're in Huntington
Yeah.
Beach, California too. So
Sean,
Yeah, Sean, we'll chit chat there as well for sure.
okay, cool. Yeah.
I want to give you kudos, Sean, man. You started off with, I'm stuck, but I'm looking for a partner. And that's one of the biggest things I emphasize like to everybody. I honestly think if you don't grow in think about that. Let's say Sean and Steven were like, you know what? We want to check out Michigan. You want to partner up or whatever. This gives you a chance to hedge your risk in trying a new state and making sure it's going to be palatable to your investment criteria and at least profitable, right? So I think partnerships are so undervalued. And that's one of the things I've been really teaching, at least like with my group. And I think like what the key is get everybody on the same platform of knowledge, right? Make sure they're knowledge based. They've all been taught the one-on-one course. They understand what needs to happen. They understand the financing elements, the profitability, and they see that it's not just the gross income versus your mortgage payment, because there's supplies, there's war chest money, there's cleaner costs, there's all those other things that people don't factor in. And a lot of people, when they tell you how much they're making on these properties, they're talking out of their ass. They don't know they don't really know the true finances. Well, if you guys really get nitty gritty on your numbers, you guys come together, it's going to be iron sharpens iron, right? I think you'll learn twice as fast. You'll get through mistakes twice as easy. There's so much value to that. So kudos to you for even being open to partnerships. I think that's 100% the way to go.
Yeah, you know what? My personality, I grew up really quiet and shy, but I'm more only now. But that's one thing I need to do to get better is to network and just talk to others more and just be open to that. Because it's nerve-wracking at first to meet somebody new and go on a financial journey with them. I want to do it. I want to progress myself and progress them too. Do it together.
Yeah, good job, because you accomplished that.